All right, we should be live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the Touch of Class show. My name is Drew Wigan, and today we will be going over every match for the upcoming Premier League weekend. We're going to be going over potential title implications, winners and losers, Champions League places, the relegation battle, and much, much more. I'm very excited to get things kicked off. I hope everyone is having a wonderful start to their day, a wonderful Friday morning. And I'm very much looking forward to getting this show going. All right. Let's first turn our attention towards match number one. We have Nottingham Forest traveling to Ellen Road, in which is a tough place to play. Ellen Road is known for having incredible fans. Leeds United have always been known for their support, and it looks like quite a hostile environment if I got to say so myself. Forrester coming off of a great point against Arsenal in that 0-0 draw that we saw. And Leeds are actually coming off a crushing defeat in final minutes to Newcastle. Overall, I see this game being a bit scrappy from both sides. I really do think that Leeds come out on top in this one. I think that their support playing at home gets them over the line, and I could really see a Leeds 2-1 victory over Forest. Now, that's not to say that Forest won't play well, Forest won't do their thing. I personally just don't see how Forest can keep getting results. I think being in Europe still is going to really hurt them. I think they're going to have to choose between the Premier League or Europe in the coming weeks. And I think that their league form is just going to suffer because of it. Both these teams are on 26 points in 16th and 17th, respectively. And if it wasn't for the three teams at the bottom, this would be a relegation scrap. Now on to match number two. Match number two, we have the Spurs coming to Old Trafford in what should be a very riveting game. They're playing a very informed Manchester United side who have won 3 on the bounce since Michael Carrick took over. He's actually doing quite a phenomenal job, something that not a lot of Manchester United fans would have expected. I think Tottenham are in a weird place right now where they're competing in the Champions League. They look to be in decent form in the Champions League. I believe they have a first round bye, yet they just cannot find league form. Thomas Frank is really struggling to have them find that league consistency. And I don't know how you solve their current problems because if you look at the statistics and everything surrounding them, how they're playing, they're whipping a lot of crosses in. They're playing the way they want to play. It's just not creating a lot of goals. They're not creating a lot of really good chances. And I don't know if that's because they don't have the proper striker for it. Solanke is coming off an incredible game with that flick goal over Donnarumma against City. That was just absolute class. But they don't play through the middle of the pitch at all. They're never playing through balls. They're never trying to catch people offside or catch people out of position. They're really only looking to get down the wing, get to the byline, and whip crosses in. And I don't know how well that's going to work for them against this Manchester United side. Now, with all of that being said, Manchester United seem to always struggle against Tottenham. No matter where they're playing, whether it be at Old Trafford, whether it be in North London, this Manchester United team seems to always have a problem with Tottenham. I mean, we even got battered by them just a few short years ago. With all of that being said, again, I do think United come out on top in this one. I think that the Red Devils are just in too good of form. I think Bruno Fernandes is the best player in the Premier League at the moment. He's just creating so many big chances. He's getting the assists rolling in now. And with the likes of Ahmad and Bumo, Cunha, and Sesko, the attacking threat is just too much for Tottenham. I think Tottenham can get a goal, but I don't see them getting more than one goal. I think that Manchester United take this one 3-1 up the Red Devils. Now we head to match number 3. And this, I honestly think, is going to be an incredible match. We have the Toffees traveling to Craven Cottage, and I expect there to be some belters in this game. I don't know why. I just have that weird feeling in the back of my head. You've got, 10 playing 9 in the table? Let me double check that real quick. I believe that's where both teams are sitting. As I pull this up, I think Craven Cottage is one of my favorite grounds in all of the Premier League. I just love the look of it. I love the actual cottage aspect of the field. I think it's so cool. I think that more stadiums need to embrace how they should look. And I think that they are just the epitome of what Premier League football is all about. Yeah, so we have Everton sitting 10th, Fulham in 9th. Both of these teams in the top half of the table. But this is a fight I could assume to stay in the top half of the table, as Newcastle and Bournemouth are just 1 point back of Everton. And then Brighton is just 2 points back. So if Everton were to drop points here, and either of those three teams were to win, then Everton would fall into the bottom half of the table, which is obviously not what the Toffee fans want. They've been in great form this season. This is a place that they haven't regularly found themselves in recent history. And I think that David Moyes is having them play relatively okay football. Now, Marco Silva and Fulham have had some tough results go their way recently. Obviously, the Manchester United game where Kevin scored that absolute screamer in what was the 91st minute. They thought they were coming away with a point at Old Trafford until Benjamin Sesko put the dagger in their heart and finished them off for United to win 3-2. I really like Marco Silva as a coach. I think he's doing an incredible job. I'm very excited for him and this Fulham team for the rest of the season because I think they could make a real push at potentially the top 7, top 6. We could see Fulham playing European football. Now, I don't think it would be anything more than the Conference League, but that would be incredible for them. European nights at Craven Cottage would be something spectacular to see. Everton have Tierno Barry, though, and I think that he is one of the young, bright talents of the Premier League. What he is doing up top for Everton is what they thought that Beto could do all of those years. That is what Beto ultimately wanted to be. He wanted to be that main guy that they're looking to, and this Everton team just has those young guys that are exciting. It brings hope back to Everton, a team that once was built on the young talent. Obviously, that got pegged apart by the rest of the league, but they had the likes of a young Wayne Rooney. They had the likes of a young Seamus Coleman, who ended up staying there his whole career. They had Mikel Arteta playing for them. Everton is built off of having these young players come through, grow with them, and they used to have a lot of success with it. But in recent years, they've just made bad decisions. They've spent poorly. The years have just kind of merged together and flown by. I mean, the Ancelotti era was just so weird. It feels like a fever dream. James Rodriguez was playing on the team. They've made a lot of poor financial decisions, and I think it's just ultimately cost them in recent history. They've not been performing well in the league. Their managerial hires have been poor. I believe Sean Dyche was their manager, which, no offense, but you don't really want Sean Dyche to be your manager unless you're in a relegation scrap. And that's not where Everton ever want to be. I do think that this game is going to have both teams split the points. I think that it is going to be a 2-2 draw with Everton equalizing late with none other than Beto. I think he comes off the bench. I think that there's a scrappy goal in the late 88th minute or so, and they end up splitting the points to one apiece. I hope for Fulham's sake that is not the case. I would actually prefer Fulham to win this game. I don't know why, but I just think that they're such a fun team. I think Raul Jimenez will have a big part to play, but I don't see how this isn't a draw. And I really do think it'll be a belting match. I think that 2-2, a last kind of minute goal to tie it up, to really seal the fate for Everton, take that point back up to Merseyside and kind of rip the heart out of the Fulham supporters. That's just what I could ultimately see happening. Now on to match number 4, sorry. And this is just not the best match that we have of the weekend, to be completely frank. We have the Hammers traveling to Turf Moor in a relegation scrap, something that is going to be cagey. It's going to get dodgy. I don't have much to say about this game just because I haven't watched much of Burnley or West Ham, just because both teams are so poor. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of quality football played. I think West Ham really need to win it, though. I mean, if they get relegated, that is going to be such a shame for such a big club. And West Ham are a reasonably big club. I mean, just a few years ago, they were competing for top 8. They were competing for top 7. They looked like they had finally been a team to crack through in that top half of the table, maybe fighting for European places. And the mixture of bad spending, going after players just because of international pedigree and Euros like Füllkrug, has really just not been great from them. A lot of poor decisions have put them in the place that they currently are, which is 18th, sitting on 20 points, 6 points below 17th. It does not look good for them. They have a negative 19 goal differential. They are just playing bad football at the moment. And I don't see how, as of now, they're not going down unless they can catch up to Forest, which would be hilarious if you have a team going down that was also playing in Europe. I wonder when the last time that happened was. This match is just screaming 0-0. I don't have much else to say about it, so I'm just going to be skipping over the rest of this game because it's not that exciting. Now, match number 5. This match is going to be riveting. There's so much on the line as the league leaders Arsenal welcome the Black Cats into the Emirates, a team that everyone thought might just go up and go right back down, but no. Sunderland have done it right. They understood that when you get the chance to come up to the Premier League, you have to take it. You have to throw significant investment into the team. I think they spent almost $100 million or maybe over $100 million this past summer. But that's allowing them to be 8th in the table, which is incredible for them. No one ever expected that. They have a chance at a European place. Sunderland, a team that was a Premier League staple through the early 2010s and then obviously had their financial turmoil and dropped down all the way to the likes of Football League One and just looked broken and looked like they might go bankrupt. And it was really sad for the fans because the Stadium of Light is one of the best atmospheres in the Premier League. They really get behind their team and their support is incredible. They have incredible tifos. The hatred for Newcastle is there. It's a great rivalry. Sunderland has deserved to be in the Premier League for the past decade. Now they're back. They're not messing about. They're 8th in the table. They're going to the Emirates, and they're not looking to mess about. Now, Arsenal need these points bad. They have secured 2 points of their last available 9. The dagger loss to Manchester United hurt. The draw to Nottingham Forest was not good by any means. And I forget who they played before that. Liverpool. They drew Liverpool 0-0. And they're just not creating from open play. I think Arteta's biggest problem right now is, yes, they are getting XG off of corners and set pieces. And whilst I don't agree with that style of play, it is a style of play that has them first. It's probably going to win them the league, and that's okay. I don't think it is a good quality of football, but hey, if Arsenal win the league, what am I to say, and what am I to chirp them? They do need to start scoring more goals from open play, though. They need Saka to get those crosses in to Gyökeres, to have him finish, to have him cut inside, to have him start scoring goals again. Casemiro right now has more goals in the Premier League than Bukayo Saka, and that is not meant to really tear Saka down. It's just kind of a question of what's happening. What is happening to this Arsenal team from open play? Are they too drilled on getting to the byline, whipping across, hopefully get a corner? Because that's what it seems like. They always are having a lot of corners, and it seems like that's just all they're playing for. There's no bite behind their attack. It's just kind of going through the motions until they eventually do get that corner. They crowd the keeper, and the next thing you know, the ball is bundled into the net, whether it be Gabriel, whether it be Saliba, whether it be Timber, whether it be Gyökeres, whether it be an own goal. They need to figure out how to score from open play. There's a great storyline in this match as well. We have Granit Xhaka's return to North London. He left the squad just a couple of years ago, and he went to Germany, where he played in an incredible side that went on to win the league. Something that he never had the joy of experiencing at Arsenal. And now he has the chance to go into North London, into the Emirates, a stadium that used to chant his name, and play spoiler. He has a chance to make this Sunderland team turn out 3 points at the Emirates, something that no one is expecting, to be completely frank. And you know what? That's okay. But at the end of the day, I do think this game is just insurmountable for Sunderland. I think Arsenal's defense is just going to really hunker down and focus on not giving up a goal. They're going to play staunch. Give me the Gunners to win 1-0 off of yet another corner. But a massive 3 points for them and their title aspirations. Now we move on to match number 6. And unfortunately for Wolves, they're playing Chelsea. And Chelsea are heading to one of my favorite grounds in all of the Premier League, the Molineux. Now, the Wolves definitely look to be going down. I mean, they're only on 8 points through 24 matches played, an abysmal record. But I don't want them to. This Wolves team was so exhilarating, exciting, filled with young talent just a couple of short years ago. They were kind of the new Southampton in a way, where teams would look to that team to kind of pick apart and take their best players. I mean, if you look at some of the players that they used to have, if they just kept everyone, they would be a very solid team right now. But that's obviously not what happens in the Premier League. You get picked apart, you get chewed up and spat back out. And I think that Chelsea are just going to have a feast here at the Molineux. I think that this is going to be a get-right game for Chelsea. You know, after crashing out of the Carabao Cup, they weren't really creating many chances. It was kind of a stale game the other day. I think Liam Rosenior really needs this result to go his way, especially just for Chelsea to potentially stay in the Champions League places. If Liverpool end up winning this weekend, then Chelsea would drop down to 6th. Chelsea have some injuries right now, which means that they're going to have to start Garnacho. And whatever anyone might say about Garnacho, he can be a world beater on his day, but he is just not playing with confidence right now. And I think that maybe a run of 2 or 3 games will give him that confidence to be a better player. I think that I want to see more from Liam Rosinier's tactical setup as well. That kind of ultra attacking play that we thought we were going to see from him, that all of the Twitter tacticos kind of described, where you have one of the center backs stepping up to into midfield. They try to play through you quick. It's a lot of 1-2s to just get you in behind. You have the goalkeeper playing high up, almost acting as like a sweeper slash fourth center back in the build-up. I don't know if Liam Rosinier trusts Robert Sanchez with that role right now, because obviously he has had his blunders in the past. That's what Chelsea need to do. That's the way they need to start playing. And I think this is a great opportunity to start doing that. You only get to play Wolves twice a year. And why not try some things new? Why not really try the way you want to be playing? Get that kind of mindset in your players from the get-go, because there's not going to be any other games to try it for the rest of the year other than maybe a Burnley or a West Ham. You're in the Champions League. You don't want to mess about there. You're out of the Carabao Cup, and the FA Cup is starting to get towards kind of the later stages, but still some of the lesser known teams are playing. But man, really just go for it, Chelsea. I want to see some exciting football, and I think that's what they're going to deliver. I do think that this Chelsea team is going to run rampant at the Molineux. Give me Chelsea to win 4-1 against this just unfortunate Wolves team. Next, we'll move on to match number 7. Aston Villa is heading to the South Coast to take on the Cherries. Now, this game really perked my ears when I first gave a look at it. When you just look at it on paper, you're like, Villa versus Bournemouth. This should be an exciting game. Aston Villa have been scoring a lot of bangers this year, a lot of goals from outside the box. The Cherries have been so exciting. Obviously, when they had Semenyo, they were a team that just looked like they could beat anyone on their day. I mean, they tied Manchester United 4-4. They beat Liverpool 3-2. Semenyo's final game, his final act for them was scoring the winner. What a picturesque ending for him at the club. Yet, Bournemouth are still getting results. They beat Wolves 2-0. And yes, I know I just absolutely tore Wolves apart, but you still have to win the game. They have 3 wins out of their last 5. They have 10 points in their last 5, which is very good form, some of the best form in the league. And Aston Villa are really going through a tough time right now. I mean, they were forced to bring in Douglas Luiz in the winter transfer window because the likes of Kamara, Tielemans, and McGinn are all down injured. They're really struggling to put together a good midfield that is going to have them competing in games. They're getting passed through right now, and they're slipping. They're slipping down the table. I say that they're in third, but what I'm trying to convey is that they will slip down the table. I think Manchester United will catch them. I think Chelsea might catch them. Liverpool might catch them. They're only 7 points above Liverpool, which, if they drop points this weekend and those other teams win, they're just going to be a few points ahead. And I really just see them dropping. They've also brought in some reinforcement for Tammy Abraham, but I just don't understand how this Villa team is going to be putting the ball in the back of net a lot. I think Unai Emery is going to be faced with a big decision. Do we focus on the league, or do we focus on the Europa League, a competition that he has so famously won multiple times? It's a competition that he loves. It's built for his style of play. You can kind of manage the injuries better in the Europa League. I mean, you're only playing every so often. I think that he might start sacrificing the league to really get those results in the Europa League, to try to find and sneak their way into the Champions League via that route. I don't see how they can stay in the top 5 this year for the Champions League. I do think that Aston Villa will take this game, though. I think they win 2-1 narrowly. I think the Cherries just, despite their recent form, I just don't see how they have it this game. So yeah, give me Aston Villa 2-1. Match number 8. This one's exciting. This one has a lot of potential to be match of the weekend if it pans out the way that us fans hope it pans out. We have Brentford taking the long trip up north to the Toon to play Newcastle. Now, Newcastle really need this win. They have lost their past 2 Premier League games. They are in kind of tough form, losing in the Champions League. They really need this win. But Brentford are currently 7th in the table. I mean, who saw that coming? After Bryan Mbeumo leaves, after Thomas Frank leaves, you're still in the top half of the table, and you're actually fighting for European football. I don't see how anyone would have seen this coming, maybe besides a few Brentford fans that got excited about the likes of Igor Thiago and Kevin Schott, who have carried this team throughout the year. These guys are playing just incredible football at the moment. It's so exciting to see. I think Brentford are incredible at developing talent. And I think, honestly, that there's a chance they might lose both of those players this summer. I mean, big clubs will 100% be in for Kevin Schott. I think that Igor Thiago might be a little bit of a different story. Maybe he gets another year or 2 at Brentford, or maybe he stays there for a little bit longer. But it is Yoane Wissa playing against his former club. I'm not sure if he'll get the start. I'm not sure what their injury situation actually is right now. But Newcastle really need this one. Give me Brentford 2-1. Traveling up to the Toon, beating Newcastle, tearing the hearts out of the Geordies, and really defining their season with the win now. If they won and Liverpool dropped points, that would put them tied with potentially a better goal differential and move them up to 6th position, a Europa League spot as of the end of this weekend for the Bees. How exciting would that be for their fans? Now on to match number 9. We have Palace heading to the Amex, another absolutely outstanding ground in the Premier League. And this is just the matchup of coaching. This is the matchup of 2 teams that should really be doing better. We have Crystal Palace in 15th and Brighton in 13th. You would expect both of these teams to be in the top half of the table, especially after the year that Crystal Palace had just a year ago, winning the FA Cup, being in the top half of the table. And yet, under Oliver Glasner this year, they just aren't looking the same. They aren't looking as that competent team, and that can't all just be because they lost Eze. They really need these 3 points because Leeds and Forest are playing each other. And if either of them come out with a victory and Crystal Palace drop, they'll be looking at 16th or even 17th place. I think the lowest they could go is 16th, which would just be so tough for the fans. I believe they're still in the Europa League. Maybe they're turning all their focus towards that. Or no, I think they might be in the Conference League. I'm going to do a quick double check on that, because I'm not exactly sure and I want to be positive. Yes, okay, they're in the Conference League because of that whole scandal that happened earlier this season where they were supposed to be in the Europa League but then weren't able to play because I think the owner of Crystal Palace also owns another club. I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on anything, but yeah, okay. They are in the knockout stage of the Europa Conference League, but again, they're not in the top 8 of this competition, which is where you really would expect them to be. Oliver Glasner, I can't tell if he's just not focused, because he knows he's getting a big move this summer. That's kind of what it's seeming like. It seems like he is just kind of going through the motions for the rest of this season. And that's really sad for Crystal Palace fans, especially after the year that they're coming off of last year. But yeah, both teams are really struggling this year. I think Hertzler is another great manager. I think that he could be poised for a big move to a big club soon. But you would expect his team to be playing better. That's just not what we've been seeing out of Brighton this year. Baliba has looked like he's taken a step down. Other players in this Brighton side, Karu and Toma, have looked like they've just took a step down this year. And that is not something that these fans would have expected. They would have had high hopes going into the season, another top half of the table finish, maybe fighting for the European places again, like they have been over the past few years. And unfortunately, that's just not what they got. I think with Crystal Palace's current form, they don't have any wins in their previous 5 matches. They're dropping points like flies. Give me Brighton to win 2-0 at the Amex. A great day for the Seagulls and their fan base. Now we have match of the weekend. It's Super Sunday. It is going to be a riveting match. A match that would have decided the title just a few short years ago. We have Manchester City going to Merseyside to play Liverpool at Anfield. This game between 2017 to 2022 was just known as kind of the title decider. These two teams were at each other's neck for 5 or so years. They were playing exciting football. It was always attacking. It was Klopp versus Pep. It was Mane. It was Salah. It was Firmino. It was Kevin De Bruyne. It was Sergio Aguero. It was these incredible players all going at it in what would produce exquisite football every single time. In recent history, though, we've kind of seen both teams dip below that elite level. Yes, Liverpool won the league last year, but I think everyone were just in such a bad spot and everyone was just playing at such a poor level that they just kind of were better than the rest. They weren't true champions last year. They didn't look like it. They looked like Klopp's team still that just happened to be playing under Arne Slot. And with the money that they spent this summer on Isak, on Florian Wirtz, you would expect them to be challenging for the title again, but it's just not working out for Slot. I don't know what it is, what's happening to them, but they are just not scoring the goals that they need to, even though they're playing such an attacking system. It's actually a very interesting system when you look at it play out live on the pitch. You have both fullbacks pushing up high. I think you're not getting the best out of Salah because he's kind of playing as a striker. I think they need to just go back to the 4-3-3. Strip it down, keep it simple, put Salah on the right wing where he has been the best player in the league for years, and just let him go at defenders. Put Isak through the middle and put Ekitike on the left and just really try to stick with those front three for a few games. It's going to be harder to get Florian Wirtz in the team, but hey, that's what's happening. He's been playing better, though, in recent form. It took him kind of a while to get going and get used to the Premier League. Liverpool need this win to get into the Champions League places, and City need this win to stay in the title race. And as of right now, they're only 6 points behind Arsenal. And if Sunderland can go in there and maybe nick a point, then City could really use this as an opportunity to close the gap to the top. I think if City want to do that, then they need to get Erling Haaland involved. They need to get him back scoring goals regularly. They need to be whipping crosses in. They need to be feeding him service and just getting the ball on his head, on his foot, no matter what type of service it is. He will finish the ball. His hold up play isn't the best. Everyone knows that. But that's why you have the likes of a Dorgu, a Semenyo. Maybe he just quickly lays it off to them, one touch, and then City build up the way City have built up for a decade. It's just this kind of methodical, we're going to take our time, we're going to look to tear you apart, pass after pass. And the next thing you know, someone's running through, cuts it across the byline to an Erling Haaland, which will create a tap and finish. I think we're going to see a lot more of Semenyo trying to do that because that's what Pep will want. That's what Pep will be telling him to do. Listen, just get the ball into Erling. He will score the goals. Semenyo is an incredible footballer in and himself, and he should be going for goal, but you also want to serve your striker that is the most prolific goal scorer potentially in the world, definitely the Premier League. If City want to win this game, they're going to have to score early and often. They need to silence this Anfield crowd. They need to really get in the head of these Liverpool players, which they seem mentally weak at the moment. They just don't see like a team that really has the guile to go and come from behind and win games. But it's a big match. People always show up for the big matches, and I think it's going to be another thriller. I think it is going to be an instant Anfield Classic thriller, but with both teams splitting the points. I think it is going to be a 3-3 draw with Liverpool equalizing late at the cup end. I think it is going to be just absolute scenes as, you know, they're kind of thwarting the City title hope. Maybe Arsenal pull away this weekend finally. If they get that draw, City will be on 48 points and Arsenal will be on 56 points. If they get their win over Sunderland, next thing you know, that 8-point gap is starting to really build again for Arsenal with just 13 games left. And maybe that starts putting City to bed and Arsenal start their hopes early. But again, anything can happen. I think the matches this weekend have so much character. I think that the Premier League this year in general I don't want to say boring. It just hasn't been as flavorful as everyone wanted it to, and I think we're finally starting to get there. I think it has a lot to do with Manchester United being in the Champions League places. I think it has to do with Chelsea playing better, teams just playing better football. Excuse me. Teams just playing better football and not this slow, methodical, pass it around until we find that escape through football that we've been so used to seeing from the likes of the Manchester Cities and other teams trying to adapt it over these past few years because it's not fun to watch. Manchester United right now are playing exciting, attacking football. They're getting late winners. They're doing a lot for the fans in terms of getting up the pitch and creating these 1-2s, getting chances off, kind of like what Liverpool were playing like under Klopp. We're seeing Aston Villa score bangers. We're seeing Chelsea maybe start to play a bit better under Liam Rosenior. I think that these teams just need to break out of their shell and just play true Barkley-style football. I think this weekend has a lot on the line for a lot of teams. It's going to really determine the rest of the season for how these teams are going to want to play. Very excited nonetheless. All the action kicks off at 3 p.m. today. with the first match being Leeds and Nottingham Forest. A scrap at the bottom of the table. Where are the points going to go? And then obviously we have Manchester United versus Tottenham tomorrow at 7:30. And from there, we have the matches of Arsenal Sunderland, Chelsea Wolves, Everton Fulham, West Ham Burnley, all at 10 a.m., as well as Bournemouth and Aston Villa. And then we round out tomorrow at 12:30 with Brentford Newcastle. Sunday, just 2 games, Brighton Crystal Palace and obviously Liverpool City, the Super Sunday matchup. I really just can't wait for the games. Premier League football is such an exciting thing that everyone yearns for. It has this different element that really gets you going. Gets you going. I don't know how else to put it. It just flows through my blood, and it's all I can think about. It's what I love to watch. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to drop a like, maybe hit the subscribe button, share it to your friends, and leave below in the comments who you support and what do you think is going to happen this weekend. What is your outlook for the rest of the year? How do you think this weekend will affect your team? Are you an Arsenal fan scared of dropping points again and maybe botching the league? Are you a United fan excited for the prospect of a potential win leading to maybe that guy getting his haircut? Are you a Chelsea fan just really yearning for Liam Rosenior to show that new style of football that you've been wanting to see? Are you a Villa fan? Are you scared for the weekend? Are you scared of dropping more points and kind of seeing the writing on the wall for your season where it's just going to be a tough end? Are you a Liverpool fan where you're just yearning to get back into the Champions League, to move on from slot, to get someone new in the summer and really start this rebuild over again? Let me know down below in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching the Touch of Class show. Have a good one.